Do you have a kiddo that's driving you nuts? Let's be honest. Kids that have behavioral disorders can tempt even the most saintly of parents towards a path of temptation. You're doing a great job. Let's talk about what's happening and possibly a novel approach to why this is happening. Hi, I'm Dr. Cynthia Clark, and I love working with kids and their parents. Here's why. Little kiddos, their cells regenerate astronomically faster than adults. So it's really easy to see the progress when we're making the progress, and it's really easy to see when we're not making progress. And we can also see why. So if you have a kid with a behavioral disorder, there are some things that you may not be aware of that might be causing this behavioral disorder or exacerbating it. Some of the things that can exacerbate behavioral disorders are things like toxins in the environment. An example of a toxin might be mold. So I had a young gentleman come to see me, and he had lived in a house previously that had mold in it, and then he also was going to a school, and in his school, the classroom that he was in also had some mold in it. Now this is a little person, right? So little people are more affected by environmental toxins because their systems are smaller and they don't have as much square footage to clear the junk out of them. What might mold look like in a kiddo? Mold in a kiddo might look like tiredness, or it might look like this like wired and tired activity level. It might look like difficulty following things through all of the way. So kids are really smart and their brains are in the middle of developing. An adult with the same level of mold exposure might have pretty strong brain fog and feel very tired. The kid might not be tired, but instead might be kind of bouncing off the walls. And instead of being pretty bad brain fog, they might just have trouble listening and follow directions. That might look like a willful child or a disobedient child, or a child with a behavioral disorder. So it presents in different ways in different age populations. Okay, so that's one tiny example. In the test that we do to check to see if the body, if the little one has environmental toxins, we check for a bunch of different ones. We check for about 25 different toxins. And so from there, we can figure out what needs to be done to get them out of the system. But that's not the only thing that can cause problems. For example, a lot of the kids that I see that have behavioral disorders also have heavy metal toxicity. And that can range across the board from cadmium to palladium. These toxins can be found, it can be hard to say where they picked them up in the first place. They might have been exposed to them in utero. They might have had dental caries, fillings when they were younger, and the metals could have leached into their system. So mercury can leach into the body that way, but mercury isn't the only metal in the filling. There are several different metals in that filling which can all leach into the body. Or it can be something like palladium, which is found in dental caries. It's also found in exhaust fumes. So who knows where that can happen? We live in 21st century America, so we're around toxins all of the time. When we're young and they get lodged in our system, though, they can cause behavioral problems and cognitive development delays. And that's a problem because there are two primary brain growth spurts that happen between the ages of 0 and 18. And if you miss that window, that window doesn't come back. You can do your best to strengthen, but the window doesn't come back. So it's very important to find out early. We have a saying around here, it's what you can see, you can affect. So if we know that the problem is palladium, then we know to go through the process to get palladium out. If we don't know that that's the problem, then we're kind of shooting in the dark. Other things that can cause behavioral disorders are nutritional deficiencies, and that might be as simple as a lack of a particular vitamin in the body, a lack of vitamin D, for example. I think we were all designed to run around and play outside, but I don't know about you. I spend a lot of my day inside a building. I'm looking out the window at this beautiful, bright, sunshiny day right behind the camera, and my heart is just calling to it. I just want to go play because the physical body of me knows that that's really good for me. That's really healthy. But my schedule doesn't always allow to go outside and play for recess in the middle of the day. Although now that I think about it, that would be lovely. I should build that in. But I might need to take a vitamin D supplement to make sure that my hormones are working and that my vitamins A and K are absorbing and that my neurotransmitter levels are staying healthy. So with kiddos, those are a couple of examples of things that might be coming up that might be contributing to behavioral disorders with children. How do we go about treating it? Because that's what my parents always want to know is how are we going to go about treating it? So there's a few different things. With kids, homeopathics work really great. Usually they have very little taste, and so kids can deal with that. But there are some times that we need to do other supplements too. And so that might be things like a supplement in a pill form. Maybe we need to grind it up and put it into some applesauce. Or there's a supplement that is taken in liquid form that we make little popsicles out of. We mix it up with a high antioxidant juice and we give them these little popsicles. So there's ways to do it. It helps to be smart, to be crafty. If you are a parent going through this, you have my utmost respect and all of my love and all of my support, because my parents that I see that are going through this with their kiddos, they are saints. It is tremendously trying, and you can just see their love for their children, for their child, for their behavioral disorder child, just pouring out of them. You can see how much they want to reach their little kiddo, and it is such a joy to get to see that little one showing up as himself or herself. More little boys have these behavioral problems than little girls. It's such a joy to get to see that little guy show up more and more, and the parents get to have this really loving, beautiful connection and like really get to meet their son in a greater way than they've gotten to meet him before. So it fills up my heart, and it just makes my day to get to see these things. I would love to help you figure out what's going on with your kiddo and get things back on track. I'm Dr. Cynthia Clark, and that's Good Medicine.